What's going on, guys? Hunter at North Georgia Lighting here. So today we're going to be installing some of our new 36 LED fully magnetic exclusive rock lights on this F150, and we're going to be installing a set of our 12-row sequential switchback wheel lights on this F150 as well. I am not going to go over too in depth on the install of and the mounting of the wheel lights and rock lights. We have multiple other videos that you guys can resort to watch that to get information there. But what we are going to be go over a little bit more in depth today in this video is our Switchback Solid State Relay. So any wheel light that's a quad row, a 6 row, or 12 row does come with our Switchback Solid State Relay, because the amount of LED chips in those styles of rings, they pull too much amperage to wire into your factory turn signal circuit, and it seems there's a little bit of issues when there's that much amperage being pulled off your factory circuit. So that Switchback Solid State Relay is going to help with that. It's going to eliminate that. It's going to pull your power and divert it from the battery to power your turn signal portion of the lights versus it pulling directly from the OEM blinker power wire. Okay, so we're going to go a little bit in depth on that. We're also going to be installing some of our Switchback grill strips for this F150 here. This grill light install will be a little bit different than some of them, but it's generally the same. And as we do the install, I'll kind of touch base on this style of grill light versus some of our other styles of grill lights that have the true bars that bolt in and everything. For example, I'll kind of point out some things and talk about those as well. That you can also watch this video if you have a different style grill bar and you need to install it. You can watch this video that will also kind of help you with that as well. Even though it's not the exact product, it pretty much tells you the exact same steps to do it, if that makes sense. So anyways, without further ado, let's get in this install and get you going. So one major improvement we have done with our wheel light is we have updated our mounting brackets. They are extremely stronger. We had some issues in the past with some of our brackets from road vibrations and stuff over time were cracking and splitting and stuff like that, and we had some issues. We were replacing stuff pretty frequently, but that we have fixed that issue. That is a major improvement. These brackets are way stronger. You can't even bend them. They're still made out of aluminum, so they're still easy to drill through, easy to work with. If you need to bend or alter the brackets, you can. You just have to put it in a vise or use some pliers and kind of bend it a little bit if you need to. But other than that, these are a major improvement, so our wheel lights are much stronger now. The only issue which you would have with mounting, which would be the same issue you would have with any wheel light, doesn't matter what brand or company you go with, you will still have an issue with the fastener, whether you use a rivet, a self-tapper, a bolt, nut, however you use to fasten the actual bracket of the ring to the dust shield itself. That will always be an issue. It doesn't matter what brand, what company you go with. The fastener, the rivet, or the self-tapper, whatever you use to secure it to the dust shield, over time from road vibrations can work loose, can waller out, stuff like that. So keep that in mind. If they're mounted correctly and securely, you can walk around the truck after a couple months and just wiggle the ring. If you feel like something's coming loose or there's a rivet or self-tapper coming loose, it's best to go ahead and fix the problem and re-secure it right then versus, making yourself do a lot more work later on down the road. It messes the whole ring up, XYZ, whatever. So yes, I just want to tell you guys about that. That is a major improvement of ours, is our mounting brackets. Big game changer. We've had these for about 6 to 7 months now, and all of our wheel light products, we swapped all of our old brackets out to these new ones and have had 0 issues. So that is a very good thing. Happy about that. But anyways, like I said, I'm going to get into this install. I'm not going to show too much of the mounting and everything. You can watch our other videos like I said before. All right, so after you get your ring and everything mounted up, these are the 12 rows, so there's 2 strips. There's a set of yellow, white, and black on one, a yellow, white, and black on the other. You're going to run them off the side over here toward your brake line, and you're going to daisy chain them all together. So we got both strips yellow wires crimping together, both strips white wires crimping together, and both strips black wires crimping together. Then on the other side, you're going to crimp on 3 wires, whatever wire you want. You can use standard red and black and then use a different color for your yellow if you want, or if you purchase on our website, we have a set of 3 color wire. It has 3 different colors on it, and you just match them up to whatever color you want to use for what. Your white and your black is your standard positive and negative. That's going to run to your standard either on-off toggle switch, or you're going to run it to our wireless remote option. There's white and black's positive and negative. It's going to go to your switch. Your yellow wire is your turn signal. So you're going to run the yellow wire, whatever wire you connect it, you're going to run it up to your driver's side headlight assembly, and then you're going to connect it to your switchback solid state relay, and then you're going to connect the switchback solid state relay to the headlight, and then you're going to run it over your battery and everything. I'll get more in depth to that when we get to that point, but I'm just going to stop here for a second, kind of give you the idea of how everything should be wired and how it should be installed and look. So here you can see this is our 3-color wire here. You got a black, a red, and a green. The black is obviously you're just going to match up to the switchback strips black, so you're just going to crimp them together. You got 2 blacks going into a crimp, comes out on 1 black. You got 1 red. We're going to match the red up to the white because that's your standard positive for your to your standard switch. So you got 2 whites going into 1 red, and you got your yellow. We're matching that to your green for your turn signal. So your 2 yellows going into 1 green. That's how you're going to wire everything up if you use our black and case 3-color wire, installation wire. If you buy that off the website, you'll receive that. You'll be able to daisy chain this together, crimp it all up nicely, tape it up, conduit it, however you want to do it, and then run this big long lead all the way up to the headlight and to your switch, versus running all this ugly yellow and white wire and all that stuff and having two sections from each ring going all the way to the front. It would just be a mess. So you're simplifying everything down. You're going to take both wires for both of these strips and simplify it into 1 connection, and you're going to run that all the way to the front. All right, so we got all 4 rings mounted up. You may see on this truck we had to shift the rings further under the truck. This customer has 18-inch stocks, and they will not fit perfectly, especially these strips have an inner and an outer strip, so they do require a little bit more space. So we had to inset the ring a little bit further in and make it as small as possible so the stocks will fit. That is another good thing about our rings. Our rings are fully custom sizable. You can choose the size you want, adjust it to however you want to make it fit for your application. It's not like a one set, one size style. You know, you can adjust them however you need. But one tip I will show you about the switchback wheel lights whenever you are putting them on, and I do talk about this in our other videos, but you have to pay attention to where your strips and how they are mounted. So for example, I don't know if you can see this, the wired end of the strip is here and the non-wired end is over here. So if you look at the truck, we stuck the non-wired end of the strip on the ring and wrapped it around the ring, okay? The light flows from the wired end to the non-wired end. So this light is gonna, when you turn it on, it's gonna flow around like this, all right? Now, that is flowing toward the front of the vehicle and then around the back, okay? Now, you want to duplicate that on both sides. If you notice this way, we did the same thing. We stuck the strip on and we wrapped it around, and we had the wired end of the strip facing toward the rear of the truck. So when you turn this side on, this light will light up and flow toward the front of the truck and around this way. That way, when you turn your wheel lights on, all 4 wheel lights are flowing the same direction. You don't have one ring flowing this way and then that one flowing the opposite way, and you know, you see the confusion there. So you just want to stick your strips on exactly the way it needs to flow on both sides. Just keep them matched up. Another thing that I will tell you a tip on this, all strips do come with 3M tape. This 3M tape is very strong, but sometimes, especially the rings that require an inside strip, they do like to bulge up and not stick very well right near the bracket. What you can do for a period of time is you can add 2 zip ties on either side of the bracket. As you can see here, on either side of the bracket, put them on and tighten them up really tight, and then leave them on there for a couple hours, a day, whatever, and then you can come back and cut these off, and you won't need this many zip ties on your ring. Generally, you do, and in every wheel light, you do get a packet of zip ties. That is for the installation of your ring and your strips onto your ring. That's why they are given to you. You really only need about 3 to 4 zip ties at the very top of the ring where the ends of the strips meet. That's where you should put your zip ties. You don't necessarily need to put zip ties all the way around it. because the 3M tape is very strong. It doesn't really need any assistance. It does hold very well. I just suggest putting some zip ties on the ends of it so the ends don't possibly come off or anything like that. Just kind of help secure it. But like I said, these zip ties here, we put here for a couple of hours. I'll leave them on here and then I'll come back and cut them off just to help hold that 3M tape down to the ring and let the adhesive set up really good. And other than that, you won't have any issues. Now you can see here, like I explained a few minutes ago, we have everything crimped up, taped up, heat shrinked, and now we have our wire here. You'll notice there's a red, black, and green in here. This is what our installation wire roll looks like, and it gives you 3 wires in here, red, black, and green. So obviously the red is connected to your white, which I said was your positive power that goes to your switch. Your black is obviously your ground, and your green is obviously your yellow, which is the turn signal. So when you run this up into your engine bay, you run all your 4 wires up into your engine bay and they meet. You're gonna strip this off and separate. The red and black is gonna go connect to an on-off switch, and the green wire from the front ring and the back ring are gonna splice together, and they're gonna run 1 green wire all the way to the headlight. And then you're gonna connect that to your Switchback Solid State Relay. So what that's gonna do is when you hit your blinker, that power is gonna flow out of your factory turn signal wire into the Switchback relay harness that I'll show you how to wire in here shortly. It'll flow into the Switchback Solid State Relay harness. It will trigger the relay and it will pull the power from the truck's battery, and the power will flow out through the relay, and then it will flow into both of your yellow wires, or both of your green wires here that are connected to your yellow wire on your strip. It'll flow into both of them, and it'll go down and light this ring up amber and that ring up amber in the rear. You're going to do that for both sides. You're going to have a driver side turn signal and a passenger side turn signal. Always run into the headlights. Do not run into the tail lights. On your tail lights, you have a turn signal power wire is the same power wire as your brake light. So if you wire the 2 rear rings up to your tail light turn signal, every time you hit your brakes, your 2 rear wheel rings are going to light up amber. You don't want that. Don't waste your time. Run both rear rings all the way to the front headlights to their corresponding sides. Now, once we got all the wheel lights mounted up, we're going to sling the rock lights on it. We're going to wire it all up, get it all pulled up, and we get the truck down lower on the ground, and we're up here in the engine bay wiring everything up. I'll pick up with you then, and I'll show you how to wire up the Switchback Solid State Relay and install the grill bars, and I'll also show you how to install our new wireless remote module here. All right, guys, so now what we got is we got all of our wires from all of our Switchback wheel lights and rock lights pulled up into the engine bay. We have everything ran up under the truck, and then they just come up into the engine bay on either side of the fenders. So I'm going to talk about the wheel lights now. I'm not really going to talk about the rock lights. So how I have the wheel lights is I have the rear passenger wheel light over here and the rear driver wheel light over here, both ran up the driver's side of the frame. The reason why I choose to run the passenger side rear wheel light all the way over and then up the frame on the driver's side, and then since the battery is on the passenger side, I'm going to have to run all of the main power wires over to the passenger side to connect up to the wireless remote. Yes, I just run the wire across. It's on its own wire. It runs over here, up the frame, all the way to the front. The reason why I choose to do that is because it's a little bit cleaner to get the wheel light wire from the actual wheel ring and rotor up to the frame by coming over to the brake lines here that go up to the frame. It's a little bit cleaner over there. There isn't anything that kind of bridges up to the frame, so you just have a weird ugly wire bridging up if you did that. If you bring it over here to the driver's side and go up your rear brake lines, it makes everything look a lot cleaner. So everything runs up, both rear rings run up on their separate pieces of wire, 1 wire for each wheel ring, and it comes up into here. There's also this wheel ring, the front driver, that comes up into here as well. Okay, this wire here that I have stretched across the engine bay, just kind of thrown over there for the meantime, this is the passenger side rear ring, the one over there. Okay, it has to go over there because, like I said before, the wireless remote is being mounted near the battery, and it has to be connected up to the passenger side headlight because it is a passenger side wheel ring, okay? But, so I just went ahead and took that and threw that whole casing on the other side, and I'm gonna route it over there once I get to that point. Now I'm gonna show what we have here. So right here, we have 2 wires, these 2 down here. If you look, these 2 wires here, okay? One of these is the front wheel ring on the driver's side, and one of them is the rear wheel ring on the driver's side. I have them both come up, and remember, like I said, inside of the 3-color wire, you got a red, black, and a green. Right here, once you get to this point, this is where you're going to separate these wires. So if you see here, I stripped back for both wires here, and I have the green wires sprigging out of the casing and going together into one crimp connection. So this is the turn signal wires for the front and rear ring on the driver's side. They're going to come up and connect into, if you have more of this 3-color wire and you have more green, you can connect green onto here and run it all the way up. I did not. I'm just trying to save some wire here, and I'm just, you know, piecing stuff together here, and it's going to have tape over it, and it's not really going to matter because it's all going to the same place. It doesn't matter what color any of the wire is, as long as you know what that wire is going to, that's what matters. So this right here is your turn signal power wire, your 2 greens for the front and rear driver's side rings. They come up and they connect into a wire here, and this is one wire that's going to go up and tap into the Switchback Solid State Relay once I get to that point and get the headlights and everything out. So this wire here is the driver side turn signals for the front and rear. I have both front and rear ran into one singular wire. Okay, got that accomplished. Now what we're going to do, since we have to power the white on the switch, remember, red and black on the 3-color wire harness is your positive and negative. I got it tapped into positive and negative here, and I got it tapped into positive and negative here. Okay, the reason why I didn't just splice the 2 reds together, like instead of, you see how I have them going into their own wire? There's, you know, 1 wire here for the rear, 1 wire here for the front. I have them going into two separate wires here instead of just splicing them together. The reason why I did that, now if you're running a standard on-off toggle switch, you can definitely just go ahead and splice the 2 reds together, the 2 blacks together, and have 1 singular red and 1 singular black for both front and rear driver side, pure white, the white section of the wheel lights. You could definitely have that ran all the way over to your switch. But since our wireless remote here has 4 outputs, because it has different zone controls and different wig-wags and flashing modes that this remote can do, the reason why I did that is because it has 4 zone controls. So you're going to have 1 wheel ring go to this positive and negative, that's one of them. You're going to have another wheel ring go to this positive and negative, that's another one. You're going to have another wheel ring go to this positive and negative, and another one go to this one. So that should be 4 outputs for all 4 wheel rings, positive and negative, for the white LEDs. The yellow LEDs, or the yellow wire, goes to the headlight blinker power wire. Fairly simple. So anyways, all that runs up. So now I got all this here just to kind of show you. I'm going to clean all this up and get it all secured and everything, and then I'm going to run these 2 wheel light power wires for the driver's side front and back wheel rings across the engine bay with the passenger side rear switchback wheel ring across the engine bay. So I'm going to have 3 wheel rings going over there. Once I get to this point, I'm going to basically tie all the positive and negatives, the red and blacks, of all 4 wheel rings. I'm going to tie them into the 4 outputs there, and then I'm going to run the front turn signal, the front passenger side wheel ring turn signal. Once I pull it up into the engine bay, I'm going to separate it out, and then once I get the rear passenger side wheel ring that comes across over there and runs across here, and it comes over here to where the wireless remote's going to be, I'm going to split that turn signal, the green wire, off, and I'm going to connect the 2 green wires for the front turn signal and the rear turn signal together and run 1 wire up to this headlight that you're going to tap into the Switchback Solid State Relay like I explained over there. Okay, and then you're going to have your wireless remote mounted, and all 4 wheel rings, red and black, positive and negative, are going to connect right up to that, and then your wireless remote is going to connect up to the battery terminals. I'll kind of get a little bit more in depth in that here shortly, But that's just kind of a quick rundown and visual explanation of how you would do it. As you can see here, we got everything on this side cleaned up. Got your turn signal wire that I spoke about running up to ready to go behind the headlight. I got all the other wire tucked in. We have it ran behind the firewall fire shield cover all the way over here. And then it all meets up right here where we're going to put our wireless remotes. Okay, so you can see here what I've done. These right here are the pure white hookups, the positive and negative for both driver side front and rear rings. These are ready to be connected to our wireless remote outputs, positive and negative to positive and negative on the wireless remote output over there. You can see here, these are the two passenger side rings. We got the front and rear here. We got the front and rear passenger side turn signals ran up, and both of the green wires that are connected to the yellow wire on the wheel light strip ran up and connected together. And then we have the same thing we have over there, a wire crimped on here and running up to tap into the headlight that you're going to wire in the Switchback Solid State Relay once we pull the headlight and grill out. Okay, and these other two, red and black here and the red and black here that's in this same casing, is the same as this. It's the positive and negative for the white LEDs on the front and rear rings of the passenger side. So now all we have to do is we got to bring our box over here. We got to connect all four of these positive and negatives, red and blacks, up to the output sides of the box. We want to talk about, so like I said, all four of your wheel light wires come up here, and then I have them crimped on. You may want to note which wire, which exact positive and negative wire goes to which wheel light, because if you look in this box, there is an order, and the reason why there's an order for all the wig-wag modes and options that it has. So for example, if you're going to use this wireless remote that we have, and you can use it for anything, it can be used for rock lights, wheel lights, switchback wheel lights, it really doesn't matter. It can be used for anything. It's essentially just a fancy on-off switch with flashing modes. So what these different outputs means, that means there's different zones. There's 4 different zones that it will send power out, either all at the same time or individually at different times. So all the flashing modes work correctly. This is the way I always hook it up. I take my front driver side ring and I connect it to output 1. I take my front passenger side ring and I connect it to the output 2. Take the rear passenger side ring and connect it to output 3. And rear driver side ring, I connect to output 4. Okay? And what that does, this remote has a cycle option where you can basically make the wheel lights cycle around the truck, blink, 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 like in a circle. And it essentially just sends power out on these different zones and these different outputs at different times. That's all it does. So for example, I have all these tested and figured out which one was which ring, and I wired them all up correctly corresponding to the outputs. Now since that is all correct, and it's ready to hook up to the batteries. And I will tell you this, whenever you're installing this wireless remote, do not connect the battery terminals to the battery post before you connect all your wires up, because as soon as this remote connects to power, by default it sends power out to the outputs, okay, automatically. So like for example, I have not touched this, I have not connected this remote up yet to the battery. Watch, as soon as I touch this to the battery, it will immediately send power out without me even using the handheld remote. It automatically sends power out to the outputs. See? All right, so I've had customers in the past, they go to wire this remote up, they'll go ahead and connect their battery leads onto the battery terminals first, and then they're over here messing with these wires trying to wire them up, and they cross connect the positive and negative on accident and mess the whole remote up. That's not covered by warranty. That is your fault. If you do that, that is your fault. Okay? So just be cautious when you're working with wires, you want to work with everything and treat everything as it has power on it, especially if you're working with factory wires. So when you're messing with your factory wiring harness to tap into your headlights, etc., you want to keep all the wires separated, and nothing should touch anything. That shouldn't touch a piece of metal, it shouldn't touch a frame, it shouldn't touch another wire, it shouldn't touch anything at all. Keep it separated. okay? Because you'll learn the hard way if you touch a factory wire together and it blows a factory fuse somewhere and you're sitting over here searching for 2 hours now because your dang headlights and taillights don't work for some reason. So that's the reason why you always want to treat every wire when you're wiring stuff as it has power on it and it is live. It's not going to shock you or anything, but you want to treat it that it has power on it so you don't cross connect anything and blow a fuse or melt anything or mess anything up that way. So anyways, like I said, everything's connected up here correctly. I got all my stuff heat shrink. I'm about to tape all this up so it looks nice, and then I'm going to connect this to the battery, and then after that, obviously, I'm going to finish wiring up my rock lights. Those are going to be on another separate remote, and we're going to get to the grill bars after that. So that's pretty much how everything should be wired up for the switchback wheel lights on the white side of it. Now remember, we still have this turn signal side and the switchback solid state relay that we're going to also wire up as well. Same thing that goes for rock lights. This is another remote that we're going to be using for rock lights. I just got it rested right here so I can show you guys everything. So you want to split the rock lights and everything up into quadrants. So you want to think of the front area here, any rock light that's around this area, whether it's on the front part of the frame here that you mounted at the fenders or one right here, you want to wire all that into one section. You want to take the back one, go in the middle of the truck. Say you got a frame mounted rock light toward the rear, you want to tie it all into the back section of rock lights. Same for the driver side rear, and same for the driver side front up here. So I have everything sectioned out into 4 sections around the truck. As I wired everything up, as I installed the rock lights and crimped everything and wired everything up, I planned it all out in 4 sections. So I have a section in this area right here. All the rock lights that's in this front corner area, they all come up. They come all into one wire here that connects to one output. Same thing for the back. All the rock lights in the back corner of the truck, they all come up and connect into one output. And like I said before, I wire everything, and I like to connect everything up starting from the driver's side front, so that all my rock lights in the driver's side front section, they all go to output 1. All the rock lights in the passenger side front section go to output 2. All the rock lights in the passenger side rear section, they all go to output 3. And all the rock lights in the driver's side rear section, they all go to output 4. So whenever I turn this thing on cycle mode or wig-wag, it will be able to cycle the lights in a circle. It will be able to bounce the lights back and forth. It will be able to cross the light. And this remote can do everything. But like I said, you want to get everything sectioned up and wired correctly. Now I'm going to clean all this up. I got the wheel light one already wired up and cleaned up and kind of stuck next to the battery, and I'm getting ready to stick the positive negatives from the module onto the terminals. I'm going to do the same thing for this. I'm going to get this all cleaned up, get the wireless remote module mounted somewhere, and then I'm going to run the positive negative wires from the module over here that are down here. I'm going to run those up and connect them to the battery terminals as well. Once that's done, both wireless remotes are fully hooked up to the battery, and you have 2 handheld remotes. One will control the wheel lights, and one will control the rock lights. You can turn them on separately. You can make them do different patterns and modes separately. Everything. That's how it should all be wired up. What the switchback relay harness looks like when you get it. Okay, it looks complicated. It is not. It's very, very simple. You also get a little instruction manual that tells you a wiring diagram in here, but I'm going to explain it in this video. I'm going to lay it out so you can see it. Okay, so if you look here, you have battery terminals, battery forks that you connect to a battery. It's got an inline fuse. Okay, this right here, it goes here, and it all goes together. Battery terminals, it goes all the way from the battery terminals, and then it forks and splits. So you got one positive negative here, and then it splits into 2 sets of positive negative. One is obviously for the left side, one is for the right side. You keep following it. It's got these little plugs here, so you can unplug this whole harness and run it and route it through your grill and everything, get it however you want it, and then you can just plug them in. Okay, this is what goes behind the headlights. This is your switchback solid state relay. Okay, if you look here, you have a yellow and black wire on one end, and you have a blue wire on the other end. Okay, the yellow and black wire is your 12-volt input from the factory turn signal wire. So behind your headlight, when you pull it out, you're going to find your OEM turn signal behind your headlight, and you're going to find your OEM ground behind your headlight on your headlight harness. the yellow wire is going to splice into the OEM headlight turn signal from your OEM harness. The black wire is going to splice into the ground on your OEM headlight harness. Then your front and rear ring is going to both connect up to the blue. So that one wire that we have ran up here, that it has both rings on it connected together, front and rear, both rings on this one wire. That one wire is going to connect to the blue wire. You're going to do that for the driver side and the passenger side. You have one for each side. Once you get all this wired in behind your headlight, which I will show you a little bit more once I get it done, then you're going to plug your plugs up and route your harness that goes all the way up and should connect to your battery. And how this works is when you hit your blinker, a 12-volt signal comes out of your OEM wire and it will go into this yellow wire. It will go into this module. It will trigger the relay, and it will, once this relay senses 12-volt power on this yellow wire, it accepts power from the battery. So once those are connected to your battery, you're going to have 12 volts constantly running into this box, but nothing is going to go out on this wire. Once this yellow wire receives 12 volts, it initiates the power flip and it allows power to run out of the blue wire. So every time your factory headlight bulb blinks or your factory computer sends a 12-volt signal, blink, and then it'll stop, and then blink, and then it'll stop, and then it'll blink. It'll keep sending that 12-volt signal. Each time that 12-volt signal runs into this yellow wire, it flips the switch and the power from your battery goes out of the blue wire and lights up the wheel lights. That right there eliminates you from pulling an actual amp draw or anything on your factory turn signal circuit. Okay, that is going to allow you to run a lot of lights being attached to your turn signal circuit versus if you took all those lights and just connected them directly to your turn signal circuit. It would overload your computer and your computer would stop sending the power out to the factory wire behind the headlight because the computer thinks there's something wrong. Oh no, there's all this amp draw being pulled because you've added all these switchback lights under your truck. There's a lot of extra amp draw being pulled on your factory wire, and the computer thinks there's an issue. So sometimes on most vehicles, it will automatically cut power to that circuit. With this in place, that does not happen. The turn signal, OEM turn signal circuit and computer doesn't even notice that there's anything even attached to it because it is pulling the power from your battery and lighting up the lights. It's not pulling the power from your circuit. I'm gonna go ahead and get this all put in and I'll show you guys once it's kind of all wired up. So now we're ready to pull the grill off. I got most of everything already pulled off. I'll kind of explain on a 18 plus F150 how to sort of kind of pull the grill off. If you don't know, there are plenty of other YouTube videos to teach you how to do this. I'm not going to go in depth on it. I'm going to touch base on everything and that's about it. Back to the same thing. All right, so for you got grill bars now or grill lights, whatever, you're going to have to pull your grill off and put your grill lights on. So this is going to explain how to install the grill lights and wire everything up. At the same time, it's gonna be a little bit different for other vehicles. So like obviously this isn't a Super Duty, so I'm not gonna be able to teach you everything about a Super Duty, but it's the same concept. Okay, so first off, for an F-150 to get the grill out, you gotta take about 70 little plastic clips off your grill cover here, right here. You gotta take all those off. And then after that, you gotta take a bunch of 10mm bolts off the top. And then once you do that, you have to take these little bitty bolts off the side. They're like a 7mm. You got to take them off there on the side here. And you got to pull, there's some on both sides, driver and passenger. You got to pull this whole painted piece off here. You got to unclip it. It just, once you get these two bolts off the side, both sides, it just unclips. You pull on it real hard and yank on it and it'll just pull all the way off, and you take the whole thing off all the way around. Once you get that off, you got this bolt here holds the headlight in. These three over here hold the headlight in. And then you have this bolt like right here. You can't really see the camera, but there's a bolt hole right there. You take that bolt out, and there's another one on this side here for the grill. You take that bolt out as well as all these other bolts for the headlights. Once you get all the bolts out, you should be able to just pull the grill right off, and then you should be able to pull the headlights out. Alright, so now all the headlights are out, grill's out. You have the ability to mount the grill lights and everything to the grill and get the grill wired up and ready to be plugged in. And then you're going to tap in to your turn signal here and your parking light here on your factory headlight wire. You're gonna tap into both of these wires here for your pure white for the grill bars, your turn signals for the grill bars, and your turn signals for the wheel lights are all going to splice in to your Switchback Solid State Relay and your factory turn signal circuit. Now, if you're watching this to watch how to install and wire the grill bars, you will not need a Switchback Solid State Relay. Just the grill bars do not pull enough amperage for it to affect your vehicle's computer whatsoever. So if you bought grill bars and you're seeing me wire in a Switchback Solid State Relay, you don't have to have that if you're just doing grill bars. The only reason why this vehicle is getting a Switchback Solid State Relay is because it has 12 row switchback wheel lights and switchback grill bars going in, and that is way too much amperage to be pulling on the factory circuit. So therefore we are wiring in a Switchback Solid State Relay. So anyways, like I said, if you're doing just grill bars, you can run the turn signal wires over for the grill bars and splice directly into the turn signal wire on each side. And then you can take the positive and negative for the white on the grill bars and wire them to one side of the truck's parking light wire. So both bars, positive and negative for the white LEDs, are going to run over, splice together, and then splice into the parking light power wires. You don't have to wire the white LED portion into your parking light power wire on your factory harness. You can run that portion of the wiring to an on-off switch if you want. If you don't want your grill bars to come on white whenever you turn your parking lights on or your headlights on or anything like that automatically, then you can run them to your own toggle switch. That'll be your customer decision. So you can wire that in however you would like. But the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to wire everything into the parking lights for the white of the grill bars, and I'm going to wire in the turn signal portion of the wheel lights and the grill bars into the Switchback Solid State Relay, which is also going to wire into the turn signal power, and which is also going to connect to the battery. Seems like a lot. It's very simple, not complicated whatsoever. So I feel like I'm doing a pretty decent job at thoroughly explaining how to do this. I'll kind of visually show it a little bit more here in a second once we get the grill bars put on and all that. All right, so once you get your grill here, you got your grill strips for these F150s. This is a XLT. We're going to have this new listing up on the website. They're just grill strips. It's the same thing as the F150 Platinum, so this is very similar to that. And it's basically the same concept regardless of the full, like the actual metal bars that bolt into your grill. It's pretty much all the same when it comes to putting the bars on and putting the strips on and wiring it up. It's practically the same. So for the Platinum F150s, the new XLTs, any switchback grill bar, you're going to want to put the top bar or the top strip, you're going to want to put the wired end on the passenger side of the truck. Go ahead and wrap this around. Another thing, if they are strips and before you stick them on, you want to clean the surface really well with alcohol. I've already done that. So you just peel the 3M tape off the back, stick it on. the top strip on. Once the top strip is put on, you're going to do the bottom strip or the bottom bar. When you put the bottom bar on, you want to do it opposite. So if the wired end is over here on the top bar, the wired end needs to be over here on the bottom bar. That goes for all grill bars. You want to ensure that it's stuck very well. This 3M tape is strong, it's not going to come off, just make sure it's stuck down very well. Make sure it's a good temperature outside, it's not super cold, where you have a heater inside your shop, something, get it a nice warm temperature, and then apply the strips. If you have to, you can take a heat gun or something and try to heat the back of the strip up so the adhesive is nice and soft and sticky. But yeah, it's pretty simple. You stick it on just like that. You route your wires as best as you can. That's full, customer discretion. You're gonna have to route your wire as best you can. I'm about to show you how I do it. So now once you get the grill bars put on, you got the wire kind of ran in and tucked in the side here. I normally flip the grill over. That way you can wire and pull everything from the back side. Another thing that you can do to kind of help the wire routing cleaner and get everything the way you want it is you can drill a little hole in the plastic. Try to ensure that you're not going to mess anything up. Once you drill a little hole, you should be able to take the wire and route it better. Some grills you may not have to do this. This F150, it has all these shutters and stuff, so it's a little bit more difficult to route the wire. You don't want it to get pinched on any of the stuff here. Alright, now once you have the wires pulled through to the back of the grill the way you want them, you can route your wires to the correct position. This is how you want to do this. We have the top bar wired end over here and the bottom bar wired end over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tie the white and black wires of each of both strips into the driver's side headlight. So what that means is I'm going to have to route both, or all three, the black, the white, and the yellow wires from this side of the grill all the way over to here and then down to this point. The top bar, the yellow wire needs to go to the driver's side headlight because the light flows from the wired side to the non-wired side. So, with that being said, if your top bar, the wired end, is on the passenger side of the vehicle, the yellow wire, which is the turn signal wire, has to be ran from the passenger side of the grill all the way to the driver's side of the grill and tap into the headlight. And since I'm going to be tying both top and bottom bars, white and black wires, for the pure white animation, I'm going to be tying those into the parking lights. I'm going to also run the white and black wire across the grill and down to here. Okay, so this is going to go all the way over here and down to here. Alright? The bottom bar, that wire end is on the driver's side. Okay, so guess what? The white and black wire, it doesn't need to go anywhere. The white and black wires need to be separated from the yellow wire because the yellow wire has to go across the back of the grill to the passenger side headlight. Because, like I said, the strips flow from the wired end to the non-wired end. So that means if this bottom bar, the yellow wire needs to be ran over to the passenger side headlight and tapped in the passenger side headlight. So when you indicate a right turn, the light flows from the driver's side over to the passenger side, indicating a right turn. Same thing for the top. It's going to flow from the passenger side passenger side to the driver's side, indicating a left turn. Okay, so I'm going to get to doing that, and then I'm going to show you how it looks in the end. Overview of the grill here. So, like I said, the top bar comes up here. We got all three, the white, the yellow, and the black running across. I drilled little bitty holes as secure points. You can also do that if you would like. Just something to put a zip tie or something on to secure the wire. Anyways, the top bar, the wire runs all the way across the top, down the side, and it comes out right here. Okay, bottom bar. the white and black comes up from the bottom bar and the yellow comes up. I separated the yellow. The yellow runs all the way across the bottom over to here. Here, the top bar and bottom bar, both the white and the black, both come together and join here, and we crimp on these quick connect plugs. You will also get these in your order. When you order grill lights, you will get these quick connect twist plugs. They come with them. Okay, and then we also have the top bar. It separates off with the yellow wire and has a plug on it as well. Same for this side. This is the bottom bar. The turn signal wire comes over, connects here, has a plug on it. Okay, a little tip I will help you guys with that I think helps. Whenever you are crimping on these plugs, these twist connect plugs, I always flip them. So if I'm using a turn, if this is a turn signal wire, I'll use the end of the plug that has the little screw end. Same here. This is a turn signal wire. I use the little screw end plug. Okay. Wire the white and black, right? For the actual white LEDs, I use the opposite end, the threaded end, the opposite end. That way, whenever you are putting the grill on the truck and taking it off, you don't accidentally plug the turn signal up to the pure white section, if that makes sense. That way you can't get them confused. They can only plug in one way. So whenever we go to the truck and we wire the truck up, the turn signal wire, whenever we connect to the truck and run it out to the grill, once it gets to this point, it's going to have a threaded end. So this end screws onto the truck. Then the parking light wire here that has the threads here, that parking light wire, when we connect it up over there, it's going to have the screw end that screws onto this, so you can't get them confused. So that's the best way to do it right there. That's how it should be wired up. You should have one turn signal off one side, and then you should have the parking light positive negative for both whites, both bars, the whites on one side and the turn signal on that same side. Now, a tip I'll tell you, whenever you get these little plugs here with your grill bars, all the plugs you get will have a positive and negative, red and black. Obviously, for the turn signal, we only need one wire. It's a yellow wire. Very simple. Just cut the black wire flush and only leave a red wire. You can only crimp it up that way. It doesn't matter, because whenever you plug the plug in here on both sides, there's not even going to be a wire in the ground side. So there's two holes there. One's a positive, one's a negative. There's not even going to be any power or wire or anything connected to one of those holes. It's only the other hole, which would be turn signal. Everything's wired up on the grill. It's all nice and clean and tidied up and secured. Now we're going to go over to the truck and get the truck all fixed up and wired in. And then once the truck's all ready, we're going to transfer the grill over to the truck, plug everything up, and stick it on. And it should be done. So now I have it all done. Now I'm going to explain it to you. Here's your factory plug, right here. So you got the yellow and black wire. The yellow wire runs in and taps into the OEM turn signal wire, which was the far left one. We got the black wire from the Switchback Solid State Relay going over and connecting into the ground, which was the far right one. And we also have this wire here. This wire here is going to be our parking lot wire. That's what's going to connect to the white on the grill. We have that running over, and the black going into the ground, and the red, the positive, going into the middle one, which was the parking lots. So we have the grill wired up. We have the yellow from the switchback module coming over here and tying into the ground and the turn signal. And on the blue wire, we're going to tap in the switchback, the turn signal wire from both front and rear wheel lights. And we're going to tie in a, which I haven't done it yet, but we're going to tie in a turn signal wire that goes over and connects to this blue wire as well. So when you hit the blinker, it's going to send power out into this module here, and it's going to pull power from the battery, and it's going to send it out of the blue wire to the wheel lights and to the grill bars. I'm gonna go ahead and tape it all up and clean everything up, and then I'm gonna do that side again, that side over there, and then I'm gonna test, and I'll show you guys when I'm done. All right, one last rundown before we put the grill on and the headlights back in. Okay, everything's all tidied up, taped up, everything's connected up correctly. We got your the red battery cable wire coming over here. We got it running across, and then same thing this side. All this is taped up. Got your turn signal spliced in and everything. Got your blinker wire from both wheel lights tied into here, to the blue wire here. And then we also have our turn signal for our grill bar sprigged out here, as well as the turn signal and parking light tie-in over here on the driver's side, sprigged out, ready to plug up to the grill. As you can see over there on the grill, we got those sprigged out over there, so we're ready just to plug those up to there, plug that up to there, and everything should plug up and work. The main red harness, the plug, this side comes over here, all through here. This one comes up, they splice together here, they run up and connect to the battery here. So all the turn signals and everything, the parking lights, your switchback solid state relay is all wired in correctly. Should be ready to put the grill back on and test. So I'll show you then once we get the grill and everything on and it's done testing. All right, guys, so that's pretty much going to wrap up the video. I do want to say one thing. I actually told you guys something wrong during this video while we were installing. I didn't really pay attention to it until we had already got everything hooked up. But if you're wiring in grill bars and you have a switchback solid state relay, so for example, if you just buy grill bars, you probably don't need the solid state relay that we talked about, so disregard all of it. But if you do buy, like for example, 6-row, 12-row, quad-row switchback wheel lights and grill bars, and you get the switchback solid state relay in your package, I told you earlier to splice in the turn signal portion of the grill lights into the blue wire of the switchback solid state relay. That's wrong. You don't need to do that. Tie the grill bars directly into the factory parking light harness whenever you splice in the yellow and black wire that's on that switchback solid state relay. Remember the little box and it's got a yellow and black wire coming out of it? Whenever you splice that yellow and black wire into your factory turn signals and ground on your factory harness, go ahead and just take the turn signal for the grill bars and splice it in at the same time. You don't need to splice grill bar switchback wire, the yellow wire, into the output of the solid state relay. Don't do that. When I told you to wire the grill bars into the solid state relay along with the turn signal of the wheel lights, don't do that. Just tie the grill bar turn signal power wire directly into the factory turn signal wire behind the headlight. And then you can connect the wheel light turn signal wire to the switchback solid state relay, but just don't connect the turn signal wire of the grill bar. All right, so that's pretty much it. We're going to show you everything working here, and then we'll cue the B-roll. So you see here, turn on, we got our wheel lights flowing on startup animation. This remote does the rock lights. Turn the 36 LED rock lights on, and then your grill bars. If you watch the grill bars, they're controlled by your factory parking light switch up here. See those turning on? You got your turn signals left, everything's working correctly. Turn signals right, everything's working correctly. I assure you the other side is working. You can see the grill bars working, everything's working. Then you can hit the hazards. Well, it's too far for me to reach, but you can hit the hazards. You know, you got hazards, got everything. Anyway, so that's pretty much it. That's gonna wrap everything up for this install. Thank you guys for watching, and cue the B-roll.